It goes without saying that Hungary and the EU haven't been getting along that well over the last years. For example, the EU has accused Hungary of undermining judicial independence and restricting media freedom, resulting in legal action and fines. Additionally, the EU has withheld funds from Hungary due to concerns over corruption and the rule of law. On the other hand, Hungary has vetoed EU support packages for Ukraine, arguing that such measures prolong the conflict and are counterproductive to peace efforts. Despite these tensions, Hungary is set to take on the rotating presidency of the Council of the European Union, a significant role previously held by Belgium. This 6-month position requires the presiding country to act as an honest broker among the EU's 27 member states, pushing forward the legislative agenda while rising above national interests. However, the European Parliament has questioned Budapest's fitness for this task. Hungary has already revealed its official slogan for the presidency, which is super original: Make Europe Great Again. This echoes, you guessed it, the same rhetoric of former US President Donald Trump, who has a close ally in Hungary's nationalist Prime Minister Viktor Orban. For the next 6 months, Hungary has outlined 5 priorities for its presidency. Firstly, enhancing the EU's competitiveness by addressing economic challenges like inflation, public debt, and lower productivity. Secondly, strengthening the European defense technological and industrial base and enhancing defense procurement cooperation. Thirdly, supporting a balanced and credible EU enlargement policy, particularly for integrating the Western Balkans. Fourthly, focusing on curbing illegal immigration through cooperation with bordering countries and key origin and transit nations. Fifthly, advocating for a well-structured cohesion policy to reduce regional disparities and ensure balanced development within the EU. And lastly, promoting sustainable agriculture and balancing the European Green Deal's objectives with agricultural market stability and farmers' livelihoods. Basically, a step back from the Green Deal. And then there's the big issue: Ukraine. In Hungary, relations with Ukraine, both political and public opinion, have been frosty for years. For example, Ukraine introduced a language law in early 2019 that was perceived as highly discriminatory against the Hungarian minority in Transcarpathia. This hurt Hungarian public opinion towards Ukraine and the Poroshenko and later Zelensky governments. The Zelensky administration allegedly tried to mend the situation, but it wasn't picked up by the media, and the poor impression in the Hungarian public remains. This has also contributed to the very mixed view from Hungarians on the war in Ukraine. According to a study, 46% of Hungarians oppose EU support for Ukraine. 32% think that support should be limited to just financial and humanitarian aid, 16% support military aid for Ukraine, and 4% declined to answer or were undecided. Since the start of the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine, Orban has been a staunch voice, claiming that arming Ukraine just prolongs the conflict and is counterproductive to peace in the region. This escalated into a campaign, claiming that the EU and the West wanted to drag Hungary directly into the conflict. He mostly campaigned with the message that Fidesz was the only force in Hungary for peace, and all opposition parties wanted Hungary to go to war. Orban has continuously blocked additional money to Ukraine, and is against Ukraine's early-stage candidacy to join the EU. He is likely to stall the accession process completely for the next 6 months. However, Orban is unlikely to have a major impact on the EU's foreign policy, since the Foreign Affairs Council is chaired by the High Representative of the Union of Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, and not by the nation holding the presidency. Without doubt, Orban has been a challenging figure for the EU, but this dynamic might be about to change due to his losing grip on power in Hungary. In the recent EU elections, Orban's Fidesz and KDNP bloc experienced their worst results ever. They still won an outright majority of Hungarian EP seats, but dropped from 13 to 11 seats, losing 8.23% of their vote share compared to 2019. The TISA party, under the leadership of Magyar, a former Fidesz insider, surged into a strong second place, with 7 seats and 29.6% of the votes in their very first EU elections. Magyar's rise is significant, as he managed to energize the undecided center and attract strategic voters from traditional left-wing opposition parties. His party's strong performance in both the EU elections and the municipal elections in Budapest positions him as a credible threat to Orban, although the future of Magyar and his party remains to be seen. Additionally, Orban finds himself increasingly isolated on the European stage, with no current party affiliations. Although there were discussions about joining forces with Meloni's ECR group, the negotiations failed to bear fruit. A key stumbling block was the ECR's requirement for new members to openly declare support for Ukraine's defensive war, a position Orban has been reluctant to take. Furthermore, the ECR recently welcomed the Romanian AUR party, an entity unlikely to align with Fidesz, and the feeling is mutual, complicating any potential alliances. For Magyar, the next 2 years before the next parliamentary elections will be a matter of credibility. His TISA party is still in its infancy, without established party structures or a fully fledged manifesto. He and his party have yet to take an official stance on major and decisive domestic issues like the economy, healthcare, and education. On the EU level, he joined the EPP, but according to some, this already raises credibility questions. It might be conflicting that Magyar claims to be pro-peace, while the EPP is considered to be pro-Ukraine. Hungarian viewers and others, we would love to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you Domonkos for your contribution to this video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more videos like this. Until next time.